Families raising children with disabilities face a variety of challenges and complexities in financial planning. Developing the right strategies now can ensure that loved ones have the assistance they will need in every aspect of their life. EP's annual financial planning issue offers practical advice and valuable resources to help overcome these challenges. To read more, sign up for
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of REITs Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, Two Lives at Once. And with every wreath you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. Two Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, two lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to REITsAcrossAmerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's REITsAcrossAmerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
Suicide is preventable, and each of us has a role to play in suicide prevention.
Suicide is complex. There is no single cause.
And it's not always a mental health issue. It could be loss of a job or home, financial or relationship issues, pain, or leaving the military.
Suicide does not discriminate. It affects all ages, races, and genders, veterans or not.
If you know a veteran who is struggling, connect with them. Let them know help is available.
There is quick and easy access to services in times of crisis.
Dial 988, then press 1. Talking about it is okay.
Don't keep it inside. Don't be ashamed. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Hello, and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis, Marine Corps veteran and your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce ASAC of ASAC Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing and Power Washing, and my supporters, Kason Shaving Company and Exceptional Parent Magazine. More is always more, and that is a theme for 2025 when this show is being released, that more is always more. And it's kind of funny. You need more sometimes and you don't ask for it and don't get it. And then you need more sometimes and it just is there and you got to like grab a hold of it.
Yeah.
And I got approached by, a firm that does PR, and they said, hey, we've got Shannon Walker, Northwest Battle Buddies, dog training. We want her to talk with you. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I looked, Shannon, at your bio on your website, and I'm like, this is not just this is someone who's done this all your life. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome Shannon Walker from Northwest Battle Buddies to Oscar Mike Radio. I am just chomping at the bit to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. What an incredible introduction. I am super grateful, very humbling, and super grateful to speak about not only what is my passion, but our mission. And so thank you for allowing us to share our heart and what we do. Super happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, because, we talked about this before. I came clean. I'm board chairman for a service dog organization. And I don't know much about dogs. I grew up on a farm, and my dad had a rule: if we couldn't eat it or it wasn't making us
Yeah.
money, he didn't want to fool with it. So dogs didn't fit into his nomenclature, for that. Fine. So I get involved in this organization because a lot of my brethren I knew were having mental trauma and problems. And I found out real quick how much I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is not about me. This is about you. You have a lifelong calling for this. So kind of tell us who Shannon is and how did you get into being so active in the service dog community, please?
Well, thank you. That's a loaded question. Great question. So who am I? I am a single mom of twin men, Army and Marines.
Really?
And my father served during the Korean War in the Air Force. And so I have been a dog trainer for 30 years. I've had the honor of working with multiple police departments, helping them train their dogs, getting them ready for their street. I have trained thousands of pet dogs, dogs with bite histories, dogs that were doomed for euthanasia, dogs that were doomed to go into shelters, and just really bringing restoration to families, including, the sweet, happy dog that just jumps on the company and they want it to be changed. But I've loved animals my whole life, particularly dogs, but all animals. If it's on the street, I'm convinced it needs me and I have to save it. Just like the 5 strays I feed outside of my house every morning and night. I just make sure the cats that are out there, if they were dogs, I'd catch them, but the cats. But it's just been who I am. And speaking about dogs, because dogs and horses are my favorite, but speaking about dogs, they bring a gift to our life that I don't believe any other species on this earth can bring. And I've had to have them my whole life. I remember my very first dog I got when I was probably 5, named Buttons. And she was just the beginning of a long list of dogs that have brought incredible value to my life, but have also broken my heart. But because they bring so much value, you have to go get another one just so you can share that piece of you and they can share themselves with you. So fast forwarding to doing service dogs for veterans, I've had a for-profit business for 26 years, very successful, boarding and training, which just encompassed everything that I just mentioned. But when a veteran came into my for-profit business looking for help prior to Northwest Battle Buddies being founded, he was the catalyst, because I had to experience what I experienced with him for me to see the need that I could fill with my gifts and talents and belief system. And my dad taught me to believe in God, family, and country. And when you're in the presence of a veteran, you're in the presence of a hero, even though he never considered himself one. And so when a veteran came into my business, he got my attention. And, when you're a business owner, you delegate everything you can to your employees, and you only do what you can do. That's what building a good team is, right? I try to hire my weaknesses because I'm all about execution, but I'm not a whole lot into feelings unless I'm dealing with veterans and my boys and dogs, and then I wear my heart and my feelings on my sleeve. But when a veteran came into my business looking for help, he wanted his personal dog to be trained to be a service dog. So I did what I do because I trained service dogs before, but never for a veteran with PTSD. And so I assessed her. It was a young English lab named Sammy, and she was young enough and had temperament enough. And so I just said, yeah, leave her. And I started to do my training. I found out what he was needing her to task for. So she was with me for many months. And then when it came time for him to come back and train with her, after I'd gotten her prepared for public and doing what she needed to do, when it came time for him to come in, that's where it really started to change for me. It wasn't business as usual anymore, because I had learned he was talking about the suicide rate. And my dad always taught me that freedom wasn't free. Incredible patriot, my father. Not because he voiced it, but because he modeled it.
Okay.
I never saw my father put his hand over his heart and for the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem without a quivering chin or a tear in his eye. He was an incredible patriot, and he loves America, and he taught me to love my freedom and the women and the men and women who provided it. And so knowing that freedom wasn't free, not understanding what that meant, when Kevin started telling me about the 6 buddies that he was in his last firefight with that survived that firefight, and the 6 that had committed suicide on American soil after coming home, when he told me about him self-medicating with illegal drugs for years, now at this point he was clean and had been clean, when he was talking about his hypervigilance and his fear and everything else, I came to the realization he's continuing to pay a price for my freedom every day, but he doesn't put his uniform on, but he's still paying a price. And And then when I saw him working his dog and we're out in public, going everywhere he doesn't want to go, doing everything he doesn't want to do because of hypervigilance, doesn't like crowds, don't like all that. I saw him do things for his dog he was unwilling to do for himself. And I saw him find courage to lead her where he was afraid to go alone. And that was profound to me. I've worked with the police departments. I've competed internationally. I've accomplished amazing things with dogs. Some of the greatest moments in my life, other than the birth of my children, were with my dogs. But when I watched Kevin walk away after his final training through the parking lot with Sammy at his side, with his head up and his shoulders back, I felt like I significantly made the difference in the quality of somebody's life. And it didn't end there for me. I didn't know it wasn't going to end there for me, but the people who knew Kevin prior to having Sammy as a service dog, and now they see him with her now, he was heavily involved in the VA, and the veterans that he was involved with in his counseling saw the difference in him. And I had a Vietnam veteran ride a bus and find my for-profit business to find me, the gal that trained Kevin's dog. And he came into my business, a Vietnam veteran, and he was looking for help. He wanted a dog, and I didn't have a dog to give him. And then my dad always said, you don't know what you don't know. And in my simple-minded thinking, I thought, if I can just adopt dogs out of shelters, I can train them and I can gift them. And I can say, thank you for my freedom. And that was 257 service dogs ago. And we have not lost one veteran to suicide that we have gifted a dog to. It has absolutely changed their life. And this absolutely, a service dog isn't for every veteran, but for the veterans, when you go through the process of vetting and training and everything that you're doing, it's changing the lives of the veterans that have them. And I can't imagine doing anything else. That was 12 years, almost 13 years ago, that I founded Northwest Battle Buddies. We've built a huge team. We are in 27 states. We're nationwide. And it has been, I'm grateful of the businesses that I have responsibilities for, but this is a calling and a mission. But our veterans need this and deserve this. And it is, we say at Northwest Battle Buddies, it is we the people that have to stand in the gap for our veterans that are still paying a price for our freedom and say thank you in the way that we can. And at Northwest Battle Buddies, it's by gifting service dogs. And it's been amazing. And I feel like with everything we've accomplished, we're just beginning. That was a lot, I know.
No. I'm just like blown away because, there's a real aspect. A lot of people don't understand this bond between the veteran and the service dog. And you saw it. And it, again, I'll have the link to Northwest Battle Buddies website and Oscar Mike Radio show posts. You will see that Shannon has like a heavyweight title, resume of what she's done. I'm not just puffing you up, but that's the truth. And the theme I got is this is not just a tax write-off or a way to, you pour yourself into this.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to find out why that is before we go into the mechanics of doing the dogs. Did it really start with your father's example? Is that what I'm hearing?
100%. So, it's all about legacy. The Bible says to train a child up in the way he will go and he will not depart from it. And my dad taught me, the greatest, if you read my bio or if you read anything on my website, read a daughter's tribute. It is my tribute to my father. And it's not in his memory. It's not dedicated to him per se. Like I didn't start it to dedicate it to my dad. I started it because of who I am. And who I am is because of the way my father raised me. And it is my belief system. It's my appreciation for the freedom. What a gift. Everything in life starts with freedom. And we wouldn't have it without the men and women with unbelievable courage that are willing to sign on a line, including my children, including my father, including your listeners, including you. The fact is that they're saying, I will go serve a people I will never meet, and I will do whatever I'm asked to do. And it is the most selfless, courageous thing that any human being can do on this earth. And everything that we do in life, even when we wake up in the morning and we decide what we're going to do for the day, begins with freedom. It's a gift. Well, how do we give back? So it's just who I am. And I've wanted to train dogs, and I'm blessed enough that my passion has turned into my purpose.
Oh, wow.
And we breathe this from the minute we wake up till we go to bed. And it's heavy and it takes discipline. And I've wanted to quit a million times over the last 13 years. And due to my father, that was never allowed. So I'm in it for the long haul. But it is about who you are at your core and what you can bring in the service of others.
Okay, so
And
go ahead.
no, that's it. It's so yeah, it's because of my dad, but not directly, but absolutely directly. It's because of my father and my mother, the way I was raised. It's my mother was a soft place to land. My father commanded respect. So you probably get it. You know, I talk about my dad a lot because my mom was always there and she was a soft place to land. But my dad, one of the greatest passions or the greatest goals in my life was to make my father proud. And even though he died December 20th, 2011, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So it drives me.
So as I understand, and I'm I told you I'm board president for service dog nonprofit here. There's three types. There's the place that gets rescue dogs from a shelter and repurposes them and trains them for veterans.
Yep.
There's a place that pure breeds their dogs, purpose built for this kind of work. And then there's a third place I found out is what they will do is they will raise a dog for the veteran or person who wants it. And then there's a place here in New England that does it, and they charge that person a fee for that dog. I think it's like $13,000 is what they want you to raise before they will give you the dog. So three very different approaches. And the question always is, well, is a purebred better than a rescue? Is a purebred the only way to go? And, if I'm going to give money to, someone like Northwest Battle Buddies, what's the professionals think? And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I have experience in all of that, and I can speak to my experience. Do you want me to answer that?
Please, because I get asked this all the time, as Oscar Mike Radio, hey, my buddy wants a dog, but he wants a rescue, not a purebred, or this veteran will only accept a purebred German Shepherd. That's all they want, and I don't know I don't know what to tell them.
Well, people have a right to want what they want.
Okay. And
organizations have a right to run it how they choose, as long as it's ethical. But if a veteran came to me and said, this is a buffet of nonprofits that offer these different things.
Yeah.
What I would say to that veteran is this. Number one, if you have the money and you don't want to go on a waiting list and wait, and you want to buy a dog, they need to vet. So the thing is there's no governing body in the United States for service dogs for veterans, and caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. There's so many good hearts in the service dog industry, people who want to give back, but they don't know what they're doing. And they are not providing dogs that are trained, and they are not educating their veterans and setting up for success. So in essence, they're providing a dog that the veteran's going to fall in love with. It's going to ultimately cause so much stress to that veteran and never meet the needs of tasking and mitigating the disabilities that were supposed to happen in the first place. Having a service dog organization requires trainers that absolutely are at the top of their game, know how to read dog behavior, understand instinct, pick the right dog for the right breed, for the right veteran, matching them and moving forward. And then once the dog is where it needs to be, and then the veteran has to have skills, because it doesn't matter who trains the dog, and I'll explain what we do and why, but it doesn't matter who trains the dog. What matters at the end of the day is what the veteran does, because the dog will only be as good as the handler. So at Northwest Battle Buddies, in the beginning, we were all shelter dogs because we didn't have any dogs. And I just made a decision. I'm going to go do it. And then I had to figure out after that, how do I start a 501c3 and all that? I just jumped in with both feet. I went to Clackamas County Dog Services. They checked out my for-profit business, which had stellar reputation. They let me walk out with 5 dogs for free, and I just got started. It was just that simple. And then I figured out how hard it really was and built what I've built now with an amazing team that works alongside me, and I couldn't do it without them because they make me look really good. It was only shelter dogs in the beginning, but this is what we found. Number one, with shelter dogs, you have to have dogs that are young enough and of temperament enough, because by the time they're trained, if you're looking at the average price for a service dog in the industry is $25,000. Now, Northwest Battle Buddies does not charge veterans one dime. And that is the organizations I would look for.
Yeah.
But you also have to understand that you might be waiting. but you also have to understand delayed gratification and do it right. Don't do it because you're being hasty, because then you're going to have limitations or very likely fall in love with a dog that isn't going to serve your purpose. So we do not charge veterans anything. These dogs are gifted. And so, and in doing that, when you're getting a dog out of a shelter, there is no history. And often what you're finding in the shelters today are the throwaways that they lack temperament. And this is no fault of the dog. This is the responsibility of the human. But I'm just going to say, and I am all for saving a life, which is a dog out of a shelter, to save a life, which is a veteran. However, when you're looking at donor dollars, when you're looking at how many hours, hundreds of hours of work are you going to have in a dog before you're going to see that they're going to fail? That's money lost. So when you're looking at a business model, you have to, all of the ideas of the heartfelt, well, let's just do it this way because it sounds so good. It doesn't necessarily translate for the veteran to walk out with freedom and independence for the next 10 years because the dog had a long life and had a temperament genetically that was so sound. Even if the obedience falls, the dog is still a solid dog and not a threat in public.
Right.
And so a lot of times the dogs in the shelters are mixed with hard breeds. Pit bulls, mastiffs, Dobermans, shepherds, Rottweilers. I love them all. I work with the cops. I trained, I mean, I have a shepherd, I always have a protection dog in my house, and I want them to be as bad ASS as they can be. I love that personally, but that's for a professional, not for our veterans. So when you're going when it becomes down to being cost effective and time effective, we are putting out over 40 service dogs a year at Northwest Buddies. We don't have time to go through a shelter, walk the halls, and possibly pick dogs that aren't going to make it. I don't have a health history, or they're mixed with a hard breed, because you have to. So what we have learned is that when a lot of our veterans want to get back into the workforce well, the people that are in their environment or their clients or their customers may not be very excited to come in and see a pit bull. Now, granted, we don't restrict breeds. I'm like, as a dog trainer, a pit bull is not the problem. Lack of responsibility from owners is the problem. And we have pit bulls in our program from the very beginning, and they did amazing and everything else. We've had German Shepherd dogs. We've had the mixed breeds. But the fact is that the whole idea of a veteran with a service dog, when a veteran has to go out with a service dog and live their life, they already have one strike against them because they're trying to walk into public with a dog. Now they're trying to walk into public, if we paired them with a German Shepherd, they're trying to walk into public with a breed that scares half of the population, or a good percentage of the population. And we'll have a dog that can be reactive, naturally, genetically. Training is great, and we can squelch all that. But with all the fake service dogs out there that are going to blow up at my dog that has presence. So what we've learned through the years is that it's not just about matching a dog, it's the right dog. How many barriers can we break before the veteran even steps out into public? So we have transitioned through the last almost 13 years from all shelter dogs. We still take rescues today, but they don't run the majority of the 40 plus dogs we put out a year. We do purpose breed English Labs, English Cream Golden Retrievers, and we also have professional breeders for like our hypoallergenic clients, or our family. We have for hypoallergenic, we have Australian Labradoodles, we have Labradoodles, that breeders will donate to us. We don't breed them, but we'll have breeders that want to partner, and it's their way to give back and say, thank you for my freedom. So, you develop a network through the years of, and it's all about genetics, because people say, well, what's the best dog? A well-bred one that is genetically inclined for this type of work. A good trainer can through behavior modification, can cover up weaknesses in a dog's temperament that most people will never see. But when you're dealing with a veteran, now our veterans, so we train our dogs professionally for 5 months, and the veterans train for 5 weeks on site, 5 days a week.
Wow.
Then they pass their testing, and we gift the dogs with our supervision. And as good as our handlers are, because our standard is high, the veterans often refer to this as boot camp, doggy boot camp for them, but as good as they are, if the handling starts to fall in the relationship, The weaknesses in the dog's temperament can come to the surface and become a liability of defensiveness, growling, or hyperarousal in public. We do not want dogs that are genetically inclined that will do that. Now, in the beginning, I have many dogs that have those tendencies if they're not kept in check. But through the years, with the numbers, we have started to get away from that because we want the success, and we don't want, what I found is that it takes us 3 times longer to train it takes 3 times the amount of work to train a German Shepherd dog because of their power. They're a Ferrari engine.
Yeah.
Well, the Vietnam veteran that's 75 years old does not need that dog. So when you're also looking at numbers like we do, we want to have dogs and breeds that could actually go to many different lifestyles. Because, when we have a German Shepherd dog and we have a group of 14 veterans, we're looking for the one veteran that is not working out in public, that is not, we try to do a checklist of things he's not already doing in his life that he doesn't want to do, that dog is going to be the best fit because we want to set him up for success. And you just said, veterans will come and say, I only want the German Shepherd dog that's the purebred. With all due respect, it is not their job to tell you what they want. They don't know what they need to succeed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so when a veteran comes to us and they say, I really want this. I had a female come, she's on our board of directors now, female veteran. And she was dealing with a lot. She was career. She did 20 some years, and she wanted a German Shepherd dog. She wanted to feel safe. And I didn't have a German Shepherd dog for her. I had a brindle pit bull looking out of a shelter named Frog.
Okay.
And she's telling me what she wants. And I just told her, I said, Rebecca, please just trust me. I know what you need. She met Frog and she started training with him, and she just couldn't believe how he started to change her life and the bond. And he was everything that she needed. So it's not in the breed, it's in the relationship, it's in the awareness, it's how they learn to use the tool that is transforming, not the breed. But we do our best to educate veterans to trust the process. You may not, when I go to a doctor, I'm not telling him how to do surgery on me. I'm just trusting his reputation, going, you're good, right? How many of you lost on the table? Or do I want to know that, right? I'm not telling him his expertise, telling him, no, but honestly, in my profession, nobody dictates to me how to do the job. If they are, then we're not the organization, or I'm not the trainer for them. But the veterans don't know what they need, and they just want, and when veterans come and do that, they're in love with an idea and they romanticize it. And there's not one veteran that doesn't sacrifice having to take care of a dog as much as they love that dog and as much as the dog is changing their life, that service dog. But to have a service dog and be responsible 24/7, 365 days a year, no veteran would choose that if they didn't have the desire for what that tool is going to bring them. Because these service dogs are medical equipment. It's a tool that they have to learn to use to mitigate a disability. And so anyway, I don't know if I answered all of what you just said, because I know I just said a lot, but hopefully it brought some perspective in the why the breeds and how, and the perspective of, it's like you have to go on your experience, because our veterans deserve us to stand strong and say, I promise you, this is what you need. And I'm not gonna bend to your preference, because your preference will not get you. You tell me you want to go down the street over here, but that preference won't get you there. Trust me. Just trust me.
Yeah. What's it like watching the veteran and the dog develop a relationship, Shannon?
Great question. It is what fuels us to do what we do.
Yeah.
Because I tell our veterans, and I tell when I'm speaking somewhere at our graduations, it's like my team and I have the honor of walking the walk of freedom with these veterans every day, alongside them as they're learning how to navigate life with their service dog. And when you watch them break down in public, or they start to break down because they haven't been in Walmart in 10 years, and now they're white knuckling it through with a service dog. And right away, we start to teach them how to use the tool, how to redirect their brain, focus on the dog, use the dog in grounding techniques, use the dog as a social barrier, think about their breathing, think about the dog, and how to redirect their brain from being so hypervigilant, focus on the dog. And they gather themselves. And the veterans will say, I had to gather myself so I could continue my mission. What was the mission? To get milk. Stuff that we take for granted. They have to be intentional and find the courage and get the muster up to do it. And so when veterans, either through the training process and we're watching them overcome fears, we talk about their wins. You know, they go into the store, they come out, it may not have went the way they wanted it to, or they broke down, but they didn't run out. They didn't go into flight. They stayed the course. We did it as a team, and they walk out and they're like, yeah, but I did this, but you did it. It's a win. And they learn to see their wins for what they are. I talk to our veterans so much about the conversation they have with themselves in their mind, because that is self-sabotage. When veterans come in, the self-sabotaging mindset, they will take themselves out of the game and you won't even know it's happening. So we have a tremendous dialogue about our wins, what we're going to do, how to hack. We want them to be able to hack themselves. They'll get a buddy in that group, doesn't matter what conflict, because a lot of organizations only serve post 9/11. We serve all conflicts. Our 100th dog went to a Vietnam veteran, and it was the most exciting thing for me to see these Vietnam veterans finally get on with their life. When the gentleman that got the 100th dog, he's like, I thought my life was over, and then I didn't even know it was just beginning. You know, it's just, that's what gets us through, because this is extremely hard. And when you get, and one last thing, when you get the text in the morning, we got a text in the morning. One morning, the gentleman had his dog for about a year. And the thing is that service dogs are there in the midnight hour when nobody else is, and they are saving our veterans' lives. They are breaking suicidal ideations, and they are saving their lives. And the reason I can make that statement is because our veterans tell us that. I got a text in the morning. It says, Talon, because of Talon, I can enjoy another sunrise. My broken brain had decided to end it all. And in the middle of the night, I was sitting in the middle of a room with a box cutter right next to me, and he had decided to take his life. And through the tears and the hysterical crying and the distraughtness, his dog was relentless, pawing him and licking him and nudging him. And it finally broke him out of that to where he looked at his dog and saw Talon. And he says, instead of reaching for the box cutter, I reached for my phone and I took a picture. So I would forever remember what Talon did for me. And because of him, I can enjoy another sunrise. And he sent me a picture of that dog. And I'm going to tell you, I've trained thousands of dogs. I've seen dogs close to death. I've seen dogs do heroic things. I've seen dogs have their own wins. I've seen all of that. And I've never seen an expression on a dog's face like I saw in that photo. And I get to do this. My team gets to do this. So what does it feel like walking next to them? It's one of the greatest gifts that I have in my life, to see them and be a part of their journey in such a significant way. And my team gets to do that. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, this is why you do it. And the thing is, a lot of civilians in their own professional aspiration, they own a business doing something, want to be able to serve veterans and don't know how. And in addition to learning about, how this works in the dog arena, you're kind of showing people the way for their business and their lives. I do want to ask something though, because dogs don't live as long as humans.
Yep.
So how do you deal with the inevitability that, okay, this dog has a 10 to 15 year lifespan, and that veteran's going to need another dog? How do you prepare for that? Because it's loss, but you got to kind of deal with this all over again with a new dog. I mean, how's that handled?
Great question. It's handled a few different ways. Some of our veterans who've had dogs pass away, they have gained so many skills while having that dog. They've learned how to go out in public, and that dog has become a bridge from isolation to being in the community, from not spending time with the family and going out with the children and only hearing about it, to where now they're out. And so because of the dog and the support that tool provides as they're gaining skills, when the dog does pass away, they're like, I think, first of all, I can't even imagine having another service dog, but I think I can go out into public without him. I can do these things. I've gained the skills that I can do it without him. And that's the ultimate that we want, is because now the veteran is not reliant on the tool anymore, because they're not reliant on the cane because they learn to walk. So that's the ultimate. But for the veterans that still need another cane, we got a call a year and a half ago. I don't know what it is about now. But New Year's Eve at 11:30 at night. And
New Year's Eve.
Ryan,
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, 11:30 at night, I got the call that Ryan and Bullet died unexpectedly. And Ryan was on the phone. And my first question was, are you alone? And he wasn't, he was with his wife.
Oh,
And he's crying. And I'm like, Ryan, how can we serve you? We're going to serve you with another dog right away. What can we do for you? Do you want another dog? And he just couldn't even think about another dog because he was so devastated about Bullet. But I wanted to, he promised me. I said, you promised me you will never quit. And he promised me he would never quit because, of course, we all know what our first concern is.
yeah.
He said, I will think about it and I will talk to my wife about another dog. Within 2 days, he texted me, says, I have to have another dog. I said, I have a dog for you because Jared and I, who is the executive director of canine training and veteran instruction, we're already preparing another group. And I said, I already know the dog I have for you. And I said, I'm going to send you his picture because I already knew what Ryan needed. I knew what his tendencies were. I knew what his handling skills were. I knew everything. So we picked out Twitch, who was a rescue, by the way. And I started sending him pictures to give him hope. But our policy is this. We have over 125 veterans waiting on our list. But if we have a veteran that is existing, we have a veteran service dog team that is existing right now, and they lose a dog, they go to the top of the list immediately and are immediately served and brought back into the family. So they have hope and they are looking forward to it. In the next group that we're starting, we have a veteran group starting October 21st. And one of the veterans out of there, which is a Vietnam veteran, will be coming to receive his second dog. Abel served him for 8 years and then died of cancer. And so he's coming back and he's going through our 5-week program again. And the reason he's going through our 5-week program completely again is because we've added a few things in the last 8 years. We continually perfect our craft. We continually are setting our veterans up for success and bringing in more resources for them. So he's coming in and we have the honor of serving him again. But because we've been doing this almost 13 years, we've served a handful of veterans more than once. And then we've also had veterans die of natural causes while they had one of our service dogs. And so those veterans that did pass away, they knew that the end of their life was coming. And so they would have conversations with us. And if that dog was still young enough, the family would agree for the dog to serve another veteran. And in that case, we usually chose one of our older generation veterans, because we had one dog that outlived 2 Vietnam veterans. And after the second Vietnam veteran died, the dog then stayed with the family because the family does get first choice because we're not going to take that dog from the family. It is an extension of their loved one. But the veteran also wants their dog to serve another brother or sister, in arms. And so, we work together. We tell all of our veterans, when you come into Northwest Battle Base, you're part of our family. And we don't take that lightly. And we are there, even if it's 11:30 at night, even if it's whatever, because there's always a backside to the blessing. What we do is incredible. It's full of courage on both sides. It's sacrifice on both sides. It's amazing. It's inspiring, but it's extremely hard. I don't have to tell you that. Running a nonprofit, working with the industry, working with the laws, working with the confusion in the industry, and then trying to help somebody believe in themselves that they can truly hope and that we are not another organization that's just going to let them down because they come in not trusting. And you have to earn it with every single one of them. Yeah. And it's all personal. So that's what we do. If that happens with our dogs and we have a veteran pass away or a dog pass away, that is how we have handled it. It's all on a case by case. But when it's all said and done, we're there for them. And if they want to be served, we serve them as quickly as possible.
Speaking of, the laws and the requirements for training and the accreditations that are out there, it can get very confusing for a veteran who's trying to find the best. And a lot of times, it's a spouse or a child saying, hey, what do you know about this? We got told because this dog had the AKC good behavior cert that it was all set, and now it's not. And that's a hard discussion to have with somebody that, hey, that dog you were given really isn't up to what you all thought it was going to do. Like, how do you have those kind of conversations with people who are trying to get help, have expectations, but have to get them, realized to reality?
Yeah, another great question, because when you have a heart to serve veterans or anybody for that matter, it's your emotion is involved, and you have a desire to help them and you want to give them what they're asking for. But the thing is about it takes what it takes for this
Yeah.
to work and to work right. And there's not one area of dog training that you can compromise, veteran instruction and handling that you can compromise, not to mention the aftercare. At Northwest Battle Buddies, we recertify our dogs, which means those dogs come in and test every year. The veteran and handler come back and test for 1 day every year for the life of the team. And they can have continued education and support for the life of the team. But when a veteran is looking, first of all, any veteran that is listening, you've got to do your homework, because there's a lot of well-meaning people that just don't have the knowledge to help you like they should. And so you really do. You need to vet them. You need to look at reviews, and you need to not lead with your heart. As much as it's hard to say when somebody's looking for a service dog, not to lead with their heart. And when veterans come and maybe they don't qualify for Northwest Battle Base, or they don't have a lifestyle. So I tell our veterans all the time, you are our mission, but the dogs are our responsibility, because those dogs don't have a voice. And we have to ensure the best to our ability that those dogs are going to be healthy, safe. There's money to take care of their vet and their food, and that you have the ability to handle this dog so the dog is safe and can bring the value to your life that you deserve. Right. And you have to learn how to say no. And you have to, so a standard isn't a standard if you're not worth suffering for it.
Wow.
So,
That's very military, Shannon. Well, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. And so to meet the standard, I had to suffer, sometimes a lot.
Yep.
But I get that.
Yeah. Well, there has to be, even though we gift our service dogs, there is a price to pay for them, but it isn't in money. It is in character, hard work, dedication, impulse control, being guidable, being tradable, being accountable. You have to have all of that for it to work, for us anyway. And I tell our veteran liaison, she's a former Marine, and her husband served in the Corps. He was a master sergeant. He has one of our dogs. He served 22 years, and he has an incredible golden retriever named Gabriel. And she has a heart bigger than, oh my gosh. And she wants to serve them all. And she'll call me and she'll give me these scenarios that I'll say, Jana, we will be doing them a disservice if we bring them in. They will fail. They will this, they will that. You have to have the courage to say no. You have to have courage to have a boundary and have a standard. And then you have to make those hard decisions. And you have to do it, because boundaries protect relationships and protect people. It's not to keep them out. It's not to hurt them. It's not to keep any of that. But it's how you frame it and how you see it. But then you have to walk it out. And I tell, for Northwest Battle Base, if you can't do it for 500 veterans, you don't do it for one. Everything has to be duplicatable, because then because there's nothing worse than an unmet expectation.
Yeah.
And then they think you let them down, and then you broke their trust. So when you have somebody that comes, as an example, and a veteran that says, I want a dog from you, but I want you to give it to me this way, and I want this dog, and it's going to be like this. Well, I'm sorry, we're just not the organization for you. And if you find an organization that's going to do that, then they're not a quality organization, because there was no standard. There was no price to be paid.
Gotcha.
So, and because we're not doing them any justice, these are not victims. These are warriors. These are courageous men and women that are cut from a different cloth, and they shouldn't be treated like victims. And it's good. It's okay to have a higher standard, because then they're going to walk away knowing they earned it. Yeah, we gift it to them, but every single one of our veterans earns these dogs, and they earn them, and they continue to do so to keep them. And so, I know I say a lot like that, but that's truly how we run it. And that helps give me as a leader the clarity to really make hard decisions, but you have to have courage to stand by them. And you can't always lead with your heart. Even my heart might have started it, but we have a team of dedicated people that work really hard to maintain it.
So as we can kind of go through this conversation, we're on the tail end of it. You've expanded to 27 states over 13 years.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking you have to have that many people aligned to your expectations and standards to complete the mission.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that when there's so many different variables to consider, Shannon?
How do you do that when there's so many different variables? Well,
People are all different. Dogs are all different, and regions are all different, and it can be difficult. I can't get my kids, my three sons, to do the same thing all the same time, right? They interpret what
yeah.
dad says differently, much less, 27 different
Well,
states.
no, I get that. So, our veterans, first of all, when the veterans come in, they come in already meeting a criteria. So there's a consistency
Okay.
among our applicants. There is a consistency among the dogs we train, whether they came from a shelter, because then we know what we're looking for, and we choose the right dogs when we have the opportunity to get a rescue. And then we have our breeding program, of course. And then we have our, and so we know what we're looking at. We pair the dogs well, but we have a system that is duplicatable. And even though every veteran is treated as an individual, and absolutely every dog has its different nuances and personality and maybe energy levels or things like that, but we have evergreen support. We have our veterans get connected through Facebook and relationships, and then they come back here and we offer continued support. So we're continuing to support them. So even though we're looking at all conflicts, all ages, in all of these different states at a distance, it's because we run our organization in a duplicatable way that is down to a system. And because we've been doing dog training and our experience is decades over.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery. We just do it. We have our system. It's duplicatable. It's proven to work. And we do not deviate from the protocol, period. And it even though the veteran is states away, there is a standard and a support that they can always call on that doesn't change. So there's a stability there, even if our bodies aren't there in Ohio. There is a standard, there's a phone call, there's ways to connect, and we serve them. And so there is no question, no veterans are out there with a question about how to or what to do. We have an answer for everything. And if we didn't have one immediately, we're going to come up with one because of the experience and the knowledge that we have, and we know our dogs and we know what that veteran knows. But at the same time, it's because they already met a criteria when they came in. So they already have a certain substance that they're going to be okay. And then again, and it goes into all of our operations, they help sustain that. So I don't know if that answers the question very well.
Yeah. It's in my line of work is people process technology or people process systems. So you have the people you serve, you have the systems in place that in the processes to make sure the system is applied the same way, no matter where you are or the veteran is.
That's right.
That's how I interpret it.
You answered it better than me. That's what we do.
I have my moments.
There you go.
So you've been doing this for 13 years. So I got to ask, you're doing this for 13 years, which in nonprofit world can be a long time. Some nonprofits don't even get to year number 3.
Yeah.
What's next for Northwest Battle Buddies or you, Shannon, at this stage in your life?
Thank you. So yes. So what is next for me in my stage of my life? So great question. I'm still figuring that out. So I've been a professional dog trainer for 30 years. I'm the executive director of the ASDP, Association of Service Dog Providers, which is a national nonprofit of service dog organizations that meet a standard. I also have my social media, which is Shannon Walker Unlimited. And then I'm the founder and CEO of Northwest Battle Buddies. So what's next? More.
Your more is more.
Serving more veterans.
Yeah.
Finding a way. And so we're continuously looking at how to be creative to make education, information, support evergreen in whether it's for service dog organizations to come up.
Excuse me. Now, what do you mean by evergreen? Just educate me on that.
Thank you. I'm talking about how do we help people that's duplicatable without having to take more time of ours. So like right now for our veterans, as an example, so 6 weeks before they come into a program, their training starts with Northwest Battle Buddies. We have a series of videos on dog training, dog behavior, genetics, how to read dogs, the vernacular, what the testing is going to look like. But there's 20 videos for them to watch and 20 tests to take. So they are already getting educated before they even come in and meet their dog. So they're hearing it. So how do we make a system that how do we do something more? We're trying to find ways to make more of what we do duplicatable, so it doesn't take man hours to do, but we can make information at the tips of our veterans' fingers or even service dog organizations' fingers, so they can come up higher, get the knowledge they need to have, because that's the world we're going to. It's like, it's the
Wait a minute, you're talking about, if I may, if I understand you correctly, you're trying to automate your redundant processes so you can be more efficient and serve more.
there you go. Yes. Now, nothing would ever replace the hands-on 5 weeks
Sure.
here ever. But the fact is that when you say the same thing over and over and over, so what we're trying to do moving forward in our systems is find a way to make it, I would say, evergreen. But you're right. So it's people's fingers. The information is right there, so they can gain. If it's 1 o'clock in the morning and they have a question, they can go search it out and find it. They don't have to wait in the morning to call or whatever it is. So we're doing that, but we're also continuing to try to find a way to serve more veterans, raise more money, educate the people, educate the American people about the service dog industry and what is an ESA and what is a companion dog and fake service dogs and how they're hurting our veterans and how they're hurting the industry, and then fighting for the right to have a service dog. You know, our veterans that are facing invisible wounds of war, and then people say, "Why do you have a dog? It doesn't look like anything's wrong with you." You know, it's all of that. So Northwest Battle Buddies and me personally, I'm always looking for a way, and that's why thank you for allowing me to speak on your platform, finding a way to raise our profile and our voice. So if we can bring value to anybody listening, bring clarity, education, and awareness about what our veterans need and the power of the tool of a service dog when it's done right, we got to get the word out, because a veteran will never ask for anything. We have to be their voice. We have to advocate for them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, tomorrow, 22 families are going to be planning funerals tomorrow. How do we fight that for people that it's an epidemic, and they're a population that is in hiding because they're behind closed doors because they don't want to go out in public. So that's a whole nother. But what is for Shannon Walker and Northwest Battle Buddies? More effectiveness, more donor dollars, more veterans served, a waiting list that is 3 months long, not 2 years. You know, I mean, it's all of that. You know, we're constantly looking to improve everything we do, bring excellence to the industry, excellence to our veterans, and serve them at the highest level. And that is the desire for education and exposure and affecting the industry is as important as providing that service dog, because now we're putting veterans out there in the public. Well, now we need to educate the public now that they're out there, you know? So it's a lot of things like that. And so it's amazing. And I will tell you one thing that's really exciting for Northwest Battle Buddies right now. It is called the Defender Service Awards. So you could help us. Range Rover, we have been nominated to receive a Defender 130 Range Rover.
Oh, wow.
Yep, to transport our service dogs. And we are going to be asking people to vote starting December 2nd. So people can go to Northwest Battle Buddies and vote for us to receive that, plus $30,000, which will help us transport our dogs. And of course, the money absolutely will pay for a service dog for a veteran. So that's going to be an amazing thing. That's the most exciting thing we have coming up next. And but when I say more, it's all of that. It's all of it. And you're in the nonprofit world, so you know
Everything helps.
It's all of it. It's all of it, and it all matters equally. So.
Well, how can people connect with Northwest Battle Buddies? And you said you were on social media. You sound like you've got it pretty well figured out. But how can people connect to share that message and vote for you?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. So if people so first of all, if you're a veteran and you need a service dog, please feel free. Go to Northwest Battle Buddies online. You can find out about it. You can apply. NorthwestBattleBuddies.org. If you're a family member and you have a veteran that is suffering with PTSD, that is diagnosed with PTSD, advocate for them. You know, we've had wives, we've had daughters, we've had children reach out to us, and their fathers have service dogs now. Their husbands have service dogs now. But at NorthwestBattleBuddies.org, people can donate, people can help raise a puppy, people can find a way to partner with us, because we need the help of the American people to get this done. And you can absolutely go to NorthwestBattleBuddies.org on December 2nd, and you can vote every day for us to win. It'll be on our homepage. We have a 3-minute video on there. You'll be able to click vote for Northwest Battle Buddies, because that's just going to be an amazing thing for our service dogs to be able to be transported inside. We're in the Northwest. Rains a lot. We have snow. We have some ice, and we have to sometimes travel a long ways with our dogs. So that Defender 130 is going to be great. But we would love your vote and support, and please share it with your family and friends, because we need the help.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I think what I want to do, because my show releases on Thursday night, so I'm thinking about releasing this on November 28th, and then pushing the vote with my listeners and supporters. Let's not
Oh,
let Shannon down. Let's get this Range Rover done and get these dogs delivered, because we are Oscar Mike. We're mission in flight. Let's do this, Shannon.
that's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. We need help. I got to tell you really quick, and I
Yeah,
know I talk a lot, but it's radio, right? Or whatever. So you
absolutely.
like that. It'd be bad if I didn't. But I remember when I was standing in my office by myself, trying to decide if I just adopt dogs out of shelters, I can train them and I can gift them and I can say thank you for my freedom. And when people come along, and you know this too, you know what this feels like, and they lock arms with you and they join your mission and they're like, we're going to do this with you. That's the most humbling experience for me. And I'm beyond grateful. If you knew me, you would know I don't say anything I don't mean, and I don't mean anything. And I mean, I don't say anything I don't mean, and I mean everything I say. So I try to choose my words wisely. Doesn't mean it's always the smartest thing sometimes, and then you take responsibility. But the point is I'm very grateful for anybody, this platform, your listeners. I'm so grateful. Thank you for allowing us to share our heart, our veterans, our success, and hope for families and communities and veterans that may have lost it. So thank you so much for that.
Well, one day maybe, I'll tell you my story, and you'll understand that, there's a reason for this platform. There's a reason why it's been here for 8 years. And it truly is about making sure that we can save those veterans in need and be their voice. And that's what I'm about. So I'm just tickled pink to have gotten to talk to you. It's really a real bonus to understand how this all works. There's a lot I don't know. And again, you have a chance to help Shannon and Northwest Battle Buddies in a real way. It's a simple vote, or just checking out their org and donating. So Shannon, I want to thank you for coming on, talking with me. It was like, yeah, this is really interesting. I'll do this, but I really align to what you all are doing and appreciate the length of time you have done this. A mission like yours and Northwest Battle Buddies does not happen by accident. It takes a lot of work that a lot of people never see. So thank you for taking care of my brothers and sisters in arms.
Well, it's been an honor to serve them, and it will continue to be an honor. And again, every day I get to do this, and it takes what it takes, and we rise to what is necessary, just like our veterans have, our American heroes. Where would we be without them? So they deserve us to serve them and serve them well. And I know that's what you do, and that's definitely what we do.
We hear, I'll edit that out. Wow. Well, you've heard it here, folks, in plain English terms, how someone who didn't serve in the military took what they had and figured out a way to advocate for veterans and be successful at it. Shannon, I want to thank you for coming on. We're here to support you. And so, as we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we're mission in flight. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Remember, on it teaches our mission. We care about it, we do it every day. But I think there are things that just hit you and give you a reason to go on. The theme for our 2024 for Wreaths Across America is Live with Purpose. It just seemed to fit in with the vows of the wreath, the 10 attributes that we feel represent our United States military. I thought, what a great opportunity to put those two things together and show our kids through how we act some of the things that can make their lives better, their communities better, and by doing that, the country better. For me, Live with Purpose, I think, it's a mindset. Set some guidelines and then go out and purposefully make life different, make a change. It's an opportunity to set an example.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinista One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.